Hi, good evening. Microbiology. Renee Miles. I'm sorry for being so incredibly out of sync with you guys. This is cool stuff. I've been so sick the last 3 days. I couldn't even get out of bed. I've struggled in this class, and I'm so sorry. But let me try and do my job here and give this presentation. This is a researcher talking to the meat industry. We want to, first of all, try and educate them a little bit about how a cell works, and then we want to talk to them about the problem. So we were asked to just speak into basic cellular structure, microorganisms. I think we should say, I think I should tell you that, okay, we're switching. I'm talking to my audience now. Cells they're thinking machines. They have first, it's the cell membrane, cytoplasm, there's genetic material, RNA, DNA. Microorganisms can either live in water, in soil, they're air breathing, water breathing. Cell membrane has a barrier, and it's protected, and it's thinking. This thing, it controls what comes in and what goes out, where it goes. And it's got protectors. And the problem, not yet. Let's not go to the problem yet. So, basically, cells survive by genetics and adaptation. Bacteria, they're thinking, and they're devising a plan, and they're breeding it into themselves to know how to do the next thing. They're like, literally, it's in their DNA, and they become different creatures as they adapt to different problems. They respond to their environmental changes. They're thinking, and it could be all different things: pH levels, chemicals, toxins, microbial adaptation. It refers to microorganisms morphing, changing, getting stronger based on their environment, essentially. I hope that made sense. And so it's either by, I think we've already said, it's either by adaptation, we know what that is, or genetics. They're very clever. They can do this more than one way, is the point. They pick a host. Just like, the Lyme disease comes from a tick that goes to the dog. Same thing. Bacterium, they want to inflict disease on a host. And that is how it does that, and how it gets there is the pathogenicity. It just describes its movement and its life, essentially. Pathogen induces infection, and it's usually through bodily fluids. Pathogens are foods, drinks, also, that go into us. Touching things. Microbes that cause disease have evolved to live inside their hosts, and they have the ability to harm and to take the host's resources. So they're kind of doubling up on what they're doing there. They're multitasking. And then they're trying to spread out and get bigger, essentially. The immune system of any host can be compromised by pathogens, and it can become less effective, and finally not able to ward off illness at all. I lost my earring. just a stellar week. So let's flip to the antibiotics, and the way that these work, and these come in and they help with this. Antimicrobial antibiotics are called medications. They function by, they select a target. They select either a wall or an enzyme or some type of genetic material, depending on how they're made and what they're for. And they go precisely to that cellular area, and they affect that mechanism. For instance, they block enzymes and some antibiotics that bacteria need to live, or they disrupt protein synthesis, or they mess with the DNA RNA synthesis process and they like stop it. They can disrupt growth and function. So antibiotics can go about their business a lot of different ways, but they stop bacteria, and they want it to die, or at least not be able to carry out what it was doing. And medications they're capable of wiping bacteria out essentially, and when they start, are you seeing this? Okay, yeah, you are. If not just their functions and their structures, wiping them out entirely. So antibiotics, antimicrobial medication is another word for an antibiotic. They accomplish their mission by knowing exactly where they're going and what they're going to do. They've got an agenda, not willy-nilly. And that's kind of cool. I didn't know that they were so specific, but I mean, that makes sense. The big issue that we're here about, the big overall issue, now that I've tried, I hope that was helpful. I've tried to explain cellular process just a tiny little bit. But the problem we're here with is the use of antibiotics on our cattle, particularly tetracycline and macrolides. This is across the board. This has become a concern, and it's becoming an increasing concern. And it is in isolated to the agricultural industries. It's extensive here, so that's why I'm here today. There's some things you need to know. What's happening is there's just an overuse and a misuse in an attempt to keep everybody healthy and do the right thing. I think it's being way overused. Particularly tetracyclines, they are becoming useless, which is a concern for public health down the road. If tetracyclines become useless in treating various bacteria infections on both animals and humans, then we're going to be limited. We're going to be then limited by that, at least, in how we do kill bacteria. And eventually, I think it's suspected we'll just run out of every one of them. So we if we would stop using so much on this end, that won't come as fast. And the drug-resistant bacteria won't come as big if we don't use as much. That is the thinking here, that we need to back off and take a step back. We're using too much, and it's causing a problem on several different levels. It's not good for the animals. We're here to talk about our concern for people and for this country, and just a basic understanding of what's happening or what could happen. So we're not just guessing at this. We know that an overuse of tetracycline is causing essentially superbugs, bugs that are breeding themselves to not be affected by it. We've seen this. We've studied it. Research have looked at it. We know it's happening. We know that the resistance is on the level of the protein synthesis piece of it, and these bacteria just become completely resistant to tetracycline. Their genetic makeup is like armored when they come out the other side. It's kind of creepy. They like grow to adapt, and it's the intrinsic resistance mechanism. That's essentially what a superbug is. It's an intrinsic resistance mechanism. They're growing larger, so there's a concern that will continue to grow too much. We don't want too many things. Not that our antibiotics will not help. Essentially, this is very dangerous for society. The consequences will be that our infections will be harder to treat. Disease will spread faster, more serious illnesses and death. And so if we overuse now, on the other end, we have all these results, which is not good. And what we were going to do about it, the FDA has put into place some rules and guidelines. It looks to me like it requires the veterinarians and the agricultural farmers to all work together and really have some accountability, but everybody works together to watch this and to maintain standards now. So we're doing something about it. That's the good news. So we would like to work with you further and bring some even more information to the table and make this really work well for everybody. There, my references are 2 pages. Thank you.